You've probably seen this type of content a lot over the past year. It's over the top, super salesy, and clearly written by AI. If you're like me, you probably have used this type of content yourself at some point, but since it has become so mainstream, you're now cringing every time you see it. If AI was supposed to make all of our lives easier, then why isn't the content it creates way better? I, as a marketer, really needed to figure this out, because if I'm not finding ways to make use of AI, AI will instead replace me and steal my job. Or at least that's what all the titles in the newspapers say. So I've been hiring content writers for over 10 years now. And before AI really became mainstream, most of the work I received from freelance content writers was just really lazily written and badly researched. I was actually so impressed by ChatGPT's outputs when it first came out, because it was so much better than what a random bad copywriter would give me. But the thing with large language models like ChatGPT, Claude and others is that they are trained on a lot of data. And unfortunately, a lot of the human-written content that is available on the internet is just really bad and low quality. So that's one reason why we're not getting amazing content from ChatGPT, and it feels like it's really superficial. So you might be thinking that the future models can be trained on better data and start giving better outputs. And I think you're right. I think that's what's going to happen. The future models will give us better content and the older ones will just fade away. But it's still not going to make AI content amazing. And that's because there's another big problem with it. I once tried a prompt with ChatGPT that asked it to be a bit sarcastic. I thought that this would capture my unique communication style a bit better, but the results sounded like I was being a really mean bully throughout the whole text. And the sarcastic bits were not clever at all. It just sounded super mean and unoriginal from start to finish. Then asked it to tone it down and be sarcastic only a couple of times, but the result was even worse, because now the text flip-flopped between being sarcastic and over-the-top friendly. And it didn't sound like a human would ever talk or write this way. That's how I learned that AI lacks emotional intelligence. And that's something that it can never learn. And that's one of the other reasons why the AI outputs will never be perfect, even with the future models. So then there is an obvious question that comes up. Is it even worth it to use AI for content creation or for any other marketing activity? So I'm often working with startups and helping them to get more leads through SEO content. And so I'm usually trying to get them to adopt a more aggressive posting schedule for their blog and sometimes for the YouTube channel as well. And what I have learned, especially during the past year, is that the best way to get them to publish something new in the blog every week is not to constantly remind them about it, but to offer them a link to a really good first draft. And that draft is usually created by AI. This way they will instantly have something to edit and work with, and it isn't as paralyzing as staring at the blank page and trying to come up with a whole new blog post. But it can also be tricky to know just how much AI content you can get away with, and how many edits and additions you should add to your blog post in order to make it rank in Google. One way I can tell if the content is written by AI is that it lacks links. Both internal links to your own content, and also there are usually no relevant external links. So if you want to use AI content as the first draft for an SEO blog post, make sure you're not forgetting to add a bunch of relevant links inside the text. An interesting thing about people is that we capture more information from visual materials than from the text. And another thing that AI gets tragically wrong is the quality of AI images. Most people can tell right away when a picture has been created with AI, and as a result, they instantly lose trust in the text part of the content as well. So my recommendation is to take your own photos. Inside the office, having a coffee, looking at some Excel sheets, working on a beach, whatever the topic relates to. And use these as the featured images of your blog posts. And here's another pro tip. If you really want to add value to your content, then start creating some graphics in Canva, for example, that explains some concept in your blog post in a really simple way. These graphs are something that AI currently can't really do well, and it adds a lot of value to the readers. And that's not all. You can also start ranking with these graphs on Google image search. So it's definitely worth it to take the time and do some work in Canva. But before you do all of these things, you need to start with something that is even more important. And that's changing the content itself. Depending on the tool and prompts that gave you the AI-generated first draft, you either have to do big changes or small changes, But the most important thing is to make that content feel like your own. You should add your unique stories and jokes, rewrite full paragraphs, or just add a few sentences here and there, and remove all the weird words that you wouldn't personally use in your everyday speech. If you're using your own prompts to generate the content, then here's a tip that has had the biggest impact on the AI outputs that I get. And that prompt is: use 5th or 6th grade reading level. It might sound childish, it might sound too easy, but trust me, the outputs will be so much better. So now that you know how to make use of AI generated content for SEO blog posts, you might be thinking of what else you can do with AI. Something that would be valuable and with a high quality, but would still save you a lot of time. Luckily, there are so many repetitive and time-consuming tasks in content creation and in marketing in general. And it definitely gives you a competitive edge if you learn to leverage AI for these tasks. I have personally experienced the biggest positive impact on my work after learning to create AI automations. And I'm using tools like Make.com and Zapier for that. If you want to become one of the top marketers in the AI and start building these AI automations yourself, then just start with this video here. Bye!